Hey all, here are OS Reviews. 2 weeks ago, we did a review on the ElecJet Power Pi, which I dubbed as my favorite power bank here in early 2020 because of the fact that it can charge up not only phones, but it's powerful enough to provide up to 45 watts to charge laptops, including MacBooks when on the go, and it also charges up the 20,000 milliamp hours of the battery itself in under 2.5 hours. So quick charging and also quick top-up speeds. Well, perhaps I spoke too soon because now we're starting to see almost a evolution in power banks as a whole. And we're looking at a competitor today from Aukey, which has the same very impressive large power output in terms of wattage. It actually supports up to 65 watts, so it's even more powerful than the Power Pi and sells for $65. The size here is also larger in terms of capacity at 26,800 milliamp hours compared to 20,000 milliamp hours on the Power Pi, including Qualcomm's Quick Charge 3.0 for smartphones. And there's also a special proprietary low wattage charging mode. So if you're charging back, say, an Apple Watch or a fitness tracker or TWS wireless buds, which draws very little power, it can intelligently switch between those different types of devices, whereas some power banks have difficulty recognizing. So in terms of other specifications, again, 65 watt, that's even larger than the 45 watts of the Power Pi, also is very affordable. This will definitely charge up every single laptop that has a Type-C port in the world. The capacity is actually just enough to get you onto most flights, both international and domestic, but it's pretty much the cutoff, so anything larger than this size will be kind of prevented from going on board planes. Now, the only downside compared to the Power Pi is the rate to charge up the battery itself is a little longer. I mentioned how this can be charged up in under 2.5 hours. Well, this unit here will take around 7.5 hours to fully charge. It does have 3 ports though, which is also a little more than the Power Pi, which only has 2 ports. We get 2 USB Type-C ports, which can all support power output. As far as the capacity is concerned, it can charge up most phones 5 times when on the road, and it will charge up iPads around 2 to 3 times as well, and it will definitely charge up at least 1.5 times most laptops when you're on the road. Aside from the power bank itself, we also get a soft carrying case. This is part of Aukey's key series of products, like their headphones that we checked out a while back, and there's also a user manual. The construction quality of this power bank is made out of a coarse polycarbonate plastic, which feels quite rigid and strong. First impressions, so it is significantly larger in terms of dimensions compared to the Power Pi, which looks a lot more petite by contrast, even though the size difference in terms of capacity isn't super large. Again, 20,000 versus 26,000, but it definitely takes up much more space in the Aukey, so I think there's a bit more of hollow room that they're working with compared to the ElecJet, which is really filling the space to the brim. The charging technology used on both is technically the same. It's powered by GaN, or gallium nitride. I emphasize how this was kind of a big deal on the Power Pi's review because previously on such small power banks you could only charge up phones and tablets, but never were sufficient for laptops. Now you can just carry along basically a regular power bank and it can supply power to even your laptops. It's a new breakthrough here at the start of 2020, and we're seeing it as a trend now. On the top here we have all the ports. Standard Type A port, which supports Qualcomm's Quick Charge 3.0. The in and out port here is the one that supplies 65 watt. The one here supplies 18 watts. And there's also an LED status light that tells you how much battery life is remaining. The top and the bottom of the power bank are made out of a shiny plastic material that is a little bit easy to scratch as well as smudge, but overall still feels relatively sturdy and well built. With that being said, I personally think that the texture on the Power Pi is a little better because this one is coated in a layer of soft touch rubber, which makes it feel a bit more grippy. Moving into performance and doing a quick demo here, let's plug this into the port of this ThinkPad, and you can see that charging begins almost automatically. Again, 45 watts from the Power Pi I would say was sufficient for almost all the laptops that I tried it with, but in case you have some really power-hungry devices, 65 watts will definitely cover it completely. So this is something that will charge, again, 100% of laptops that have a Type-C port. Performance-wise, one benefit of this compared to the Power Pi of having a slightly larger body for the power bank is it does remain cooler in temperature even when generating power output at the maximum 65 watts. It's not quite as warm as on the Power Pi, which still I wouldn't say is uncomfortable or hot, but definitely gets warmer in temperature. This remains about 5 to 10 degrees cooler. It is a smart charger in the sense that it will not overcharge your devices. Once the battery reaches 100%, it shuts off charging per port. Here is our Google Pixel, and plugging it in, immediately it begins to charge up, as you can see there. And charging up smartphones that support quick charge is very fast. It takes just under an hour and a half in most cases. Some features that this power bank is missing, similar to the Power Pi, is there is no built-in LED flashlight, which is something that some of the other power banks we've seen built on in as a secondary feature. So each to their own. I would say as a whole, this might be an even better deal than the Power Pi because of the 65-watt support, as well as a similar price point of $65 and additional USB port. But if you want something that has more portability and faster top-up speeds for the battery itself, then the ElecJet Power Pi still has a slight advantage, and you can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.